Have you ever wondered how elite athletes are able to pack on a ton of muscle in record time? Well, this is how we used to think the body worked. But now we know that this is wrong. Hi, my name is Nick and I'm an elite performance specialist and certified physiotherapist for elite teams and world-class athletes. And in this video, I'll reveal how elite athletes use rep ranges to maximize performance and what specific techniques they use to maximize muscle growth. If you start using these powerful techniques, it won't be long before you'll be turning heads. But to truly understand how elite athletes are able to pack on so much muscle so fast, we need to start at the beginning. You see, whenever I start working with a new team or athlete, we always divide their physical training into phases. Back in the day, it would be a muscle endurance phase, a muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth phase, a strength phase, and a power phase. But now, we do things a little bit different. We still want to do some periodization where we switch up rep ranges because studies have shown that this is better than not doing it, but it's just in a slightly different way. But to fully understand what we do, I want you to imagine your body being a car. You see, the first thing we do is to make sure that the car runs as smooth as possible. This is our first phase, and this is our technique phase, where we typically do between 10 and 20 reps, and we don't care much about the weight on the bar. We will usually be in this phase for around 8 to 12 weeks. Next, we want to build the biggest engine that we possibly can. This is our muscle building phase. In this phase, we usually do between 6 and 15 reps, but the rep number is not as important as what we call reps in reserve. Reps in reserve are how close you are to failure or how close you are to not being able to lift the weight anymore. And I've seen people do more than 15 reps after they thought that they had hit failure. Because of this, I'll supervise my athletes to reach technical failure multiple times per week. That's when you can't lift the weight with correct form. Then we move on to a very specific technique that has been shown to increase muscle growth by 10 to 15% that I'll show you in a moment. But first, let's talk about the next two phases. In the next phase, we want the engine of our car to run at maximum capacity. So we do a traditional strength phase. In this phase, our only goal is to lift as much as possible. This is done with no more than 5 reps per set, and usually we take very long breaks of around 3 to 5 minutes in between every single set. And now we want to make sure that we can accelerate our new massive engine as fast as possible. So we do a phase of explosive movements. In this phase, we use reps between 3 and 5. In this phase, we don't lift as much as possible, but rather we lift as explosive or as fast or as accelerating as possible. The focus is on explosive movements like a clean or a squat jump or a box jump or something in that sense. With most athletes, we usually go through 2 or 3 of these cycles per year, but with some athletes, we'll do all phases at once. But let's talk about a specific technique you can start using to maximize your muscle growth phase. This technique will allow you to get the most out of your time in the gym, if your goal is muscle growth, of course. Elite athletes usually do 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week, and they rest about 1 to 2 minutes in between each and every set. And I hope it goes without saying, but they don't do it all in one day. Usually it's spread out between 2, 3, or 4 workouts. Now, at the end of every set in the exercises that allow it, we'll do what's called long length partials. This means that you'll only do the part of your range of motion where your muscles are most stretched. This has been shown in studies in the last couple of years to be superior for muscle growth and do about 10 to 15% more growth than regular full range of motion training. And since we need full functional range of motion, we'll only do partials by the end, and then we'll do the rest of the set as full range of motion movements. But this is where I see most people go wrong. They don't track their workouts the right way. I'll have my athletes track their workouts with an app called Strong. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but I've been using this app for many years. They will track their reps, sets, weight, and pause. We do this because progressive overload is how we force our muscles to grow. So the main objective of every workout is to beat your personal best and beat your numbers from the week before. That means always trying to increase the weight or the sets or the reps or even minimize the pause. Tracking creates this fun competition with yourself, and I warn you, it can be addicting. But I suppose that it's a healthy addiction. So if you want to maximize muscle growth like elite athletes, then the number of reps is less important than the intensity and progressive overload. Achieving muscle growth and strength is about doing some periodization and then going close to failure and keep doing progressive overload. But if you don't maintain a balance with your diet and your recovery and other lifestyle factors, then you'll never get anything out of your training anyway. So to make sure you know how to maximize your own recovery and get the most muscle growth you can, you should watch this video right here. Well, I'll teach you the secrets that elite athletes use to maximize their sleep.